Right now, your son is deleting 90% of the memories you're actively trying to make with him. The trips, the birthdays, the gifts, his brain is throwing them out. Because a boy doesn't remember the grand gestures. He hoards the small things instead. Think about your own childhood for a second. You probably don't remember what you got for Christmas in 1995, but you remember exactly how your dad looked at you when you dropped that pass or broke that plate. 40 years from now, your son will do the same to you. These are the 6 small things that will actually stick with him forever. As we go through them, you're going to see the psychological proof of why your anger isn't what wounds him, why your success isn't what inspires him, and why one specific thing you do today will be the voice in his head for the rest of his life. The first is incredibly subtle, but will make perfect sense. Number 1, the way you talk to your son. Here's something about a child's memory that isn't widely known. Your son's brain isn't recording your life. It's recording its own safety. And it doesn't ask whether a moment was important, special, or happy. It only asks whether that moment with his dad made him feel something, good or bad. The trip, the gift, the party, they all mattered to you. However, if it rarely made him feel much of anything in the moment, his brain never registered, and it lets it go immediately. But the casual stuff, the stuff that slipped out of you when you weren't even trying to be a good father, that's what got burned in. That's what registered. And it stays embedded in your son's subconscious for the rest of his life. So let's start where you'd never think to look and is most familiar. It's your voice. It isn't the words you say, but the tone underneath them that matters. The way your son's name sounds coming out of your mouth. And of course, it's the way you say his name when you're feeling okay, when you're asking for something, or just saying it for whatever reason in the day-to-day of life. Researchers who studied how parents speak to their kids found something that should stop every father dead in his tracks. Because it wasn't what the parents said that shaped how a child responded. It was the tone they used. The same instruction in a warm voice or a hard voice produced 2 completely different children with completely different experiences of life. So simple, but massively powerful. And here's why that lasts 40 years. A boy can't separate the tone of his father's voice from himself. He is his father's tone. So when the voice that says his name in a warm way, he learns, "I'm wanted here and all is well." But when it's flat or sharp, dismissive, or always a little disappointed, he learns something else about himself. "I'm not wanted here. I'm not much good, I guess." And that voice doesn't disappear when he grows up. It becomes that constant voice in his head that never stops. You're not just talking to your son. You're recording the voice he'll talk to himself with for the rest of his life. It sounds so simple, and so will the next one. Number 2, your facial expressions. Number 1 is only part of the overall picture, because the next one isn't about what comes out of your mouth at all. It's what your face does in the half second before you say something when your son is around. That micro expression, only the subconscious can detect. Think back for a second. Your son's just failed at something, dropped something, got mad, came home with the bad grade. And in that first half second, before you've composed yourself, before you've decided to be a good dad about it, your face does something he picks up unknowingly, but immediately, and it's felt deeply. Maybe it's a flicker of disappointment, a look of annoyance, or that tiny involuntary flash of anger. He sees it. He always sees it, feels it. It's registered and logged, and he remembers that flash longer than anything you say afterwards. It all happens in the blink of an eye, literally. Researchers who studied how children handle failure found the fear of failing isn't really about the failing at all. It's relational and subtle. It's the fear of disappointing you, angering you, when all he wants is your approval. The boy isn't scared of making the mistake. He's scared of your face and how he's going to feel if you're disappointed. So a father who keeps his face open in the half second that counts teaches his son that failure is safe to bring home, that it's part of learning and a rite of passage, while a father who can't teaches him to hide it, to lie, to handle it alone, without even knowing he is doing this to his son. You decide completely which one he becomes, and you decide it in half a second, over and over, for years. And once you understand this, you're winning. You're so far ahead of most. And a shift based on this knowledge can have a massive impact on your relationship with your son. Which brings us to the next one, the one he's learning from you without either of you saying a word. It's so big, so common, and what most do without even knowing it, and it exposes who you truly are, and your boy sees it all. Number 3, how you treat others. Okay, now let's look at a few everyday life situations for number 3. You're with your son and the waiter gets your order completely wrong. The kid working the register who's slow, on his phone, or doesn't know what he's really doing. Or maybe, without giving it much thought, it's the everyday interactions with people when things aren't going too well. But your son is watching that, feeling and absorbing everything in the environment. He's not trying to learn anything consciously or with any great focus, but because he's just there, quietly taking notes deep down, you don't know he's taking these notes, and neither does he, but he is. A psychologist named Bandura proved something distressing to parents when they found it out, that children don't become what you tell them to become. They don't follow what you say or do what you say. They only become and do what they watch you do and become. He showed that kids copy the adults they look up to, and they copy the behavior they see, not the lecture you give. So you can tell your son to be respectful 1,000 times, but he's learning respect from one thing only, whether you showed it to a stranger who couldn't do a single thing for you. This is the oldest law of fatherhood, and we forgot it, because for most of history, a father understood that his conduct was the inheritance. It wasn't his money, but his conduct. The way he carried himself was the thing his son would carry on into his future. Your son becomes who you are. The man at the dinner table is the man your son becomes at his own table in 30 years, whether you know or not. These first 3 are easy enough to figure out and make sense once understood, but the next 3 might be new to you and might even go against everything you knew about being a father and how to lead your family. Number 4, letting him see your struggles. So with number 4, we need to go one layer deeper than the ones before, because it's one that is completely backwards, and fathers have been misled about this for many years. You think your son needs to see you win all the time, only win and never anything else. He doesn't. You were told all your life to never let your guard down and never let anyone see your struggles. But this is back to front. He needs to see you struggle and needs to see how you handle the adversity. How else is he to learn how to overcome his own struggles that will inevitably come? Number 4 has the hardest evidence behind it, so stay with me here. Researchers at MIT ran a study on babies, 15 months old, where half of them watched an adult fight with a task, fail, and keep going before finally getting it, while the other half watched an adult who made it look easy. Then they handed every baby a difficult toy of their own. Can you guess what happened? Amazingly, the babies who'd watched the adult struggle tried nearly twice as hard to figure out their new toy. Twice as hard! At 15 months old, they hadn't been taught anything. They just watched someone not quit on a task, and something in them decided that's what you do. Simple as that in a baby's mind. Now think about your son for a second, who's been watching you for years, not months, because every time you hide your struggle, fix it in private, or pretend it came easy, you rob him of the lesson on how to overcome. But every time you let him watch you be bad at something and keep going, you build grit into him without a single word. He sees it as, that's just how it is, and when it's his turn to struggle, he just gets on with it. He's not learning the task. He's learning that men don't quit, no matter how difficult it is. And this follows beautifully into number 5. These are both sides of the same coin, really. Number 5, the way you repair situations. So far, all these things that dads do have been about getting it right. The next one is about what happens when you get it wrong, and it's the one that matters the most, counterintuitively. Because you will lose your temper. You will snap, roar and scream, make a balls of yourself, fall down, and you'll definitely say the thing you didn't mean to say. Every father does. And then you'll lie awake sure that's the moment he'll remember forever, feeling bad about it when actually there's no point to that at all, as we'll see now. Because here's what the research actually says about this. There's a famous experiment called the still face experiment, developed by Edward Tronick in the 1970s, and is one of the most repeated in all of psychology, where a mother goes still and unresponsive in front of her baby, and the baby panics within seconds, but the moment she reaches back and repairs it, the baby recovers completely. They went further and measured it, and found that even in healthy, loving relationships, a parent and child are perfectly in sync only about a third of the time. A third. The rest is missing each other, getting it wrong, and coming back. Which means the rupture, the perceived mistake, was never that important, no matter what we've been told. It's the coming back, the repair that's important, the effort to sort it out and get back on the same page that matters. Think on that for a second, and remember how many times you did this without realizing it. So the good news is, your son won't remember the anger, the balls up, the misstep at all. He'll just remember whether you came back or not, what you did after, or whether you said, "I got that wrong, and I'm sorry," because that teaches him the thing that matters most, that he'll need for every relationship he ever has in his life. That love survives the bad moments, that the bad moments are inevitable and just part of life's journey, and that a man can be wrong, come back, and still be respected. In fact, that's really the magic sauce of teaching and learning. Most fathers think the apology makes them look weak in front of their son, but it's the opposite, and it's the strongest thing he'll ever watch you do. Taking responsibility for what you do, say, and what happens as a result of your actions, how could that not stick with him for the next 40 years? And the next one is so small, but can be the most powerful of all. Number 6, your never skipped rituals. And there's one more, the smallest of them all. It's the one thing you do with him that you never, ever skip. The walk. The handshake at the door. The same dumb joke. The way you say goodnight. The Saturday thing that's just yours. It feels like nothing. It is not nothing. Barbara H. Fease and colleagues, Landmark Research. A review of 50 years of research on naturally occurring family routines and rituals. Cause for celebration? Who spent decades studying family rituals found that the small, repeated ones do something no big event can, because they give a child a sense of safety so deep it can carry him through hard years and through chaos. It wasn't the grand gestures, but the boring, repeated, never skipped ones that mattered, because a brain that sees the same small act of love arrive again and again files one conclusion underneath everything. I am safe here, and I can count on him. He's my dad. Big events get the photographs, but the small ritual gets into his bones, and 40 years from now, when he can't remember a single birthday, he'll remember that you never once skipped one. So here's what we got wrong. We always thought the big moments were the ones our sons would keep, celebrate, and remember, but it turns out he threw almost all of those memories away and kept the ones we didn't even notice we were giving him. How cool is that to now know? The tone you say his name in, the look on your face when he fails after trying, or how you treat someone who can't help you. Letting him watch you struggle and not quitting, and most importantly, whether you come back after you lose it. And the one small thing you never skip. None of those cost money, none of them take planning, and you're already doing all 6 right now in your own way, whether you mean to or not. The only question now is, what will you teach him after learning these 6 small things? So here's the one thing to do today, and moving forward. The next time something small goes wrong in front of your son, the spill, the mistake, the bad news, don't watch your words. Watch your face. Because that's the camera that's actually running and what he's recording. As dads, we spend so much time stressing over the big speeches and the grand gestures, But your son doesn't need you to be a perfect father when the stage lights are on. He's figuring out how to be a man by watching who you are when you think nobody is paying attention. Your tone, your mistakes, your apologies, that's the real inheritance you're leaving behind. A mother can love your son through every single one of these moments, but she cannot teach him how to navigate the world as a man. There is one specific thing a boy can only get from his father, something a mother simply cannot give him, no matter how much she loves him. If you want to know what that is, and how to use it to become the father your son actually needs, click on this video right here. Thank you for watching.